A few years ago, I was dealing with perioral dermatitis that would not go away, which was so frustrating as an esthetician. And the thing that did the most to clear the perioral and keep it at bay was an herb called Neem. But I always hesitate to talk about this, especially with clients, even though I think that it is incredible when it comes to acne, when it comes to things like perioral dermatitis. I even pull it out when I'm getting weepy type of eczema. But there's a lot to Neem, and there is a lot of safety information that needs to be known. And really, all herbs should be looked at in depth before we start playing with them. Definitely for Neem. So today I want to unpack that and share with you so that you can decide if this is a good plant for you to incorporate into your life. You are listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern vitality. If you are seeking to reconnect with your innate vibrancy, you're in the right place. I'm Emily Davis, a seasoned holistic esthetician and herbalist. Join me as we unlock the secrets of ancient skincare practices, explore the beauty of seasonal and nature-based living, herbalism, and true holistic well-being for you and the broader ecosystem. This podcast is brought to you by Stratum Aesthetics. Head to stratumaesthetics.com to find curated skincare, body care, and other wellness products hand-selected by me. Now enjoy the show. Please remember that the information I share in this podcast is based on my personal and professional experience and is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not individualized skincare advice, nor is it medical advice. I encourage you to take charge of your own health decisions and listen to your body, seeking out the resources and professionals that best support your wellness journey. Welcome back in. This is an episode for anyone dealing with skin problems that look like inflamed acne, pustules, hot papules, infected or weepy breakouts, perioral dermatitis, lesions that need cooling, drying, clearing, and antimicrobial action all at once. And that's when we're going to call on this plant. It's an Ayurvedic herb called Neem, Latin name Azadirachtica indica. If you don't know what Ayurveda is, that's okay. Ayur means life and Veda means knowledge of or the study of. It's the study of life, and it's a nature-based science of self-healing. It's the traditional medicine system of India. And if you like the sound of that and you like what you hear today, you're going to love my weekly newsletter. It's called Moon Day Notes. I try to make it unlike the other flood of emails in your inbox. Sometimes it can feel so overwhelming with how many emails we get. In Moon Day Notes specifically, I don't generally try to sell you stuff. Instead, I like it to just be me sharing something that I think will help or inspire you or bring some brightness to your Monday. So if you're into that, you can head to the show notes and sign up. I'll put the link for Moon Day Notes in there. So with that said, let's unpack this beautiful herb. I love Neem personally because capsules of powdered Neem were the biggest part of clearing up my perioral dermatitis. It was a long journey with that. And then somebody shared that I should try Neem. And I was like, I will literally try anything at this point. And I'm not saying that this is going to be the case for everyone, nor am I saying if you have perioral dermatitis, you should take it to clear yours. I signed up for a Substack this morning that they shared like their first email, and it said, nothing that I'm sharing is a protocol specifically for you. I am describing the menu. You decide what to eat. And I just loved that so much. Like, I'm telling you about something, and then it's up to you to have the discernment if it's right for you. I find that it works really well for my body. I take it anytime that I have skin issues like breakouts. I'll sometimes pull it out when I have things like weepy eczema that I get on my hands. I get it especially if I accidentally don't wear gloves when I'm cleaning. And although I really rarely, it's been quite a while since I've had a perioral dermatitis outbreak or a periocular dermatitis, which I used to get all the time. If I do start to see the beginnings of that, I will go ahead and call on Neem again. And I do want to note while I'm saying this, there's something called Neem oil, and then there's neem leaf powder. What I'm referring to is neem leaf powder. It's the leaf dried and ground, and then there's neem oil, which is cold pressed from the seed. The oil is never to be ingested. The oil is okay, in my opinion, for topical use. I've never seen that amazing of results. Also, it smells so bad, and it is highly toxic when ingested. So the powdered leaf in the capsules or tablets or neem leaf tea are a completely different preparation, and they have a different safety profile. So the oil always stays on the outside of the body. With that said, I want to talk about the actual plant just because I always think it's so interesting to connect with what it looks like, where it's native to, if we're going to be working with it. So neem is an evergreen tree in the Malvaceae family, which is the mahogany family. And this particular plant, neem, is native to India, and it's now widely available across South and Southeast Asia, parts of Africa. It was traditionally called the village pharmacy because it has a broad use. In more contemporary Ayurvedic writings, it's also known as the queen of the skin. And today we'll talk about why, but neem has been talked about in early Sanskrit writings up to 4,500 years ago. It's been used for a very long time. And just to call back to where I talked about it as the village pharmacy, in addition to skin disorders, it's been worked with for malaria, dental health problems. I'm prepping for a podcast about why oral health is connected to your skin health. And since I started studying Ayurveda, I've been using toothpaste that has neem in it because we want bitter and astringent plants in our tooth care to improve the saliva in our mouth. And so I just, like, side note there, love neem in tooth care. It's also been worked with for diabetes, heart disease, jaundice, leprosy, stomach ulcers, chicken pox, heat rash. It's an insecticide. This is how I had originally heard of neem, was as like an insecticide to use in the garden, but it's turned out to be one of my absolute favorite herbs for the skin. So in many healing traditions, including Ayurveda, taste is a big part of how humans have understood what plants do. Before we had, like chemical analysis and labs, what these people of the past were doing was tasting plants and then tracking what happened in their body afterwards. So is it heating you up? Is it cooling you down? Does it dry you out? Does it make you more juicy? Does it tighten tissue? Does it loosen tissue? Ayurveda has built this whole diagnostic system on these observations over thousands of years. And so for neem, the taste, like I said, it's extremely bitter and it's astringent. So when we think of bitter, bitter is the taste that clears and it dries. So if you were to just eat something bitter and observe how that reacts in your body, it's very drying to the body and it's more clearing, as opposed to something like milk I think of, because I drink milk in my coffee and I can always feel the effect versus if I were to just drink black coffee, which is very bitter. When we add heavy sweet milk, it's now going to be very heavy in the body, maybe a little bit more moistening. Even the way that your brain works or your body acts after you've drinking a latte versus a black coffee feels very different. So bitter is clearing and drying. Astringent is more of a mouth feel than a taste. If you think of like black tea that's been brewing for too long, that's releasing a compound called tannins. Tannins are very astringent, which means to tighten tissue. So if you drink this tannin-rich black tea that's been brewing for too long, think of that mouth feel where it's kind of almost like a pucker, not from sourness, but like you can feel everything's kind of tightened up. That's what astringent is. And so astringent tightens and holds things together. So together, these are the two tastes that are most associated with reducing heat and moisture. So when you think about skin, heat and moisture, we're going to be thinking about papules, pustules. Little bumps in the skin are caused from moisture buildup in that particular follicle. Redness is from the heat. If we have breakouts that have a lot of pustules, those are from moisture. In Ayurveda, they're not just stopping at taste, though. They're going to go a little bit further. They have what's called post-digestive effect. And this is a distinction that most Western herbalism doesn't formalize in the way that Ayurveda does. And so your taste can actually change after your herb goes through your digestive system. And this is called the post-digestive effect, vipaka. This tells you the long-term deep action of the herb. So Neem was bitter and astringent at first, but its post-digestive effect is pungent, which is warming and stimulating. Ginger is pungent. That can give you an idea of what pungent means. So this post-digestive effect is what carries this clearing action deeper into your tissue. When somebody's working with ginger, because it is so spicy, it's going to be carrying the other properties of, what's in your tea or whatever deeper into your tissue. But Neem already has that built in as its post-digestive effect. In Ayurvedic terms, this is about keeping your body's channels clear and stopping buildup of, I don't love saying the word toxins just because of how that word has gotten a little weird and distorted, but Ayurveda has this word called ama, which is like undigested material. The best translation that I have learned is toxins. So just take that word, roll with it. You get what I'm saying. So Neem is helping this buildup of ama from forming in the first place deep within the system. And this matters for skin because if the real root of hot, congested, breakout-prone skin isn't just bacteria that's sitting on the surface, if it's actually buildup of ama and blocked circulation happening within, then a plant that's only cooling on contact but doesn't really do anything once it's absorbed, it's more of managing the symptom. It's not going deep into the source. And that pungent post-digestive action of Neem is what lets it keep working after it's been absorbed. So that's the taste. Herbalism also looks at the qualities of the plant. So Neem is light and dry in its quality. Quote unquote light means that it doesn't sit heavy or build residue. I go back to cow's milk when I think about this, just because that's something I can always feel in my body, because I'm always like, oh, I really do love cow's milk. And so I'll bring it back in. I'll get like a non-homogenized organic milk and I'll bring it back in for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And then I start to feel it heavy in my body. And so I pull it out again if I'm just feeling really sluggish, this buildup of that really earthy energy. And then I switch to like almond milk or something and I feel a difference. So neem, because it's bitter, is very light. It's not going to sit heavy. It's going to move through the system quickly rather than accumulating. And that's not good or bad. It's just, what does my body need at this time? Dry means that it's actively pulling moisture rather than adding moisture. So a very moisture-rich herb is something like marshmallow. When you make a marshmallow infusion, you can put your hands in that silky water and feel that it's going to be moistening. It's going to be adding moisture into the system. Understanding this helps us to know who the plant might be for and who it might not be for, where it might actually cause discomfort. And this is why I wanted to do a whole podcast about neem, because when I'm talking to somebody and just saying like, neem helped me with my perioral dermatitis, there's so much more to the conversation, because I have a unique body, you have a unique body, and it's really up to you to decide if this is the correct herb for you. Because if like increases like, we don't really want this for somebody who's really dry and windy. How does dry and windy show up in the body? Constipation, anxiety, dry skin. And as I say this, I'm kind of a dry girl and I live in Colorado, but I sometimes get expressions on my skin where neem is a genuine help. And so I balance these drying qualities of neem with the opposite quality in other areas. I eat so much congee when I'm taking neem, which I need to do a whole episode on congee because it literally changed my life. But congee is like a rice porridge. I'll also do marshmallow infusions. I'll eat ghee with sweet potato and warm, soupy foods, things that are warm and moistening to offset the cool, drying properties. I also really like the Banyan Botanicals Healthy Skin Tablets, because they do buffer the neem in that formula with other herbs that have opposite qualities. Neem is less suited to a body that's already running dry, light, and mobile, since its own lightness can push that person further into dryness if it's overused. And so all of that to say, I never take this long term. It's something that I work with quite acutely, and then I fully discontinue use, and I don't really look at it again for many months or even potentially years. Neem falls into a category of herbs called an alterative. Alterative in the old days was thought of as a quote-unquote blood cleanser. It's an herb that works on your whole elimination system at once. So your liver, your lymph, your kidneys, your skin. It's not necessarily targeting just one organ. Although, as I say that, certain alternatives do have affinities for specific organs. Neem has a specific affinity for the liver. And the idea of an alterative is that these systems are all connected. They're one network for getting waste out of the body. And if any part of that network is sluggish, waste is going to back up and find another way out. Our skin is one of those exit routes for the elimination organs. So when your liver or your lymph isn't clearing things effectively, skin often ends up doing extra work. So this can show up on your skin as inflammation, breakouts, congestion. So an alternative herb works on the network as a whole, which is why alteratives are so beautiful for skin. Other alternative herbs include burdock, cleavers, Oregon grapefruit, echinacea, nettle, dandelion root, red clover. So all of these are often called upon for different skin issues. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, Neem sounds amazing. But I do want to share that Neem is not for everyone. It has some really specific and really serious contraindications. The first one is pregnancy. For sure, avoid internal use during pregnancy or even when you're trying to conceive for either partner, male or female, because there is some documented research on implantation with Neem. With pregnancy, Neem is traditionally linked as a uterine stimulant, and so we really want to avoid any uterine stimulants during pregnancy. With breastfeeding, again, avoid internal use. Children should not take Neem. People with low blood sugar or on blood sugar medication should avoid Neem because Neem can actually lower blood sugar further. So once again, as with anything that we talk about on this show, this is general education. It's not a personalized recommendation. So with that said, I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If so, do me a favor, share it with somebody who you think would find value out of this, if they have skin struggles, or if you're an esthetician and you have esthetician friends who like learning about herbalism for the skin, give this a share, tell them about the podcast. I will be back next week, and until then, be well. You've been listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality. If you like what you heard today, consider giving me a 5-star rating. It helps other people just like you to find the show. You can shop products and find all of my offerings on my website, stratumaesthetics.com, and follow me on my social channels @stratumaesthetics.